Dennis Dale, how are you, sir? Beautiful, beautiful. Portland, where my heart lies. Such a peaceful, peaceful city. How's
Hey,
life?
Luke.
How's it going, Dennis?
Pretty good. I'm downtown, so I just thought I'd answer to show you around a little.
Beautiful. I
I don't know if you
love
can see.
Portland, non-ironically.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I used to take you guys on the tour when this place was nice, and I want to show you some of the same old shit.
I don't remember this. This is all new.
This is Chapman Square across from the embattled Justice Center where all the action was going on this summer. Yeah. I don't know how good the picture is. I have to hold the phone backward. I can't really see myself.
No, it looks good.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where it's all been going on since, summer of George kicked off in late May.
I don't remember any of this. Like
You
it
don't
wasn't
recall?
like
Yeah.
this when I was there in year 2001.
Yeah, no, it's changed drastically. It was changing. It was getting bad with homelessness and everything else before the summer hit. But after the summer, it's just, it's like this. Downtown is totally fucked.
How many homeless people approximately do you have living on the streets in downtown Portland?
People don't really know, but they're everywhere. The little encampments are just everywhere, and those are just the ones you see, of course. Um, yeah, I don't know. Nobody really knows, but they're well into the thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hanging around. It's not a big town, but
There were no homeless when I was in
really,
downtown Portland. There were none. It was just a peaceful, easy, wonderful place. It
yeah,
was
it was.
clean. I mean, I drove around Portland. I didn't even see, any social dysfunction. It was amazing. My whole experience with Oregon, it was just nothing but positive. Wow, look at all that ugly
Years ago, it was
graffiti.
pretty much that. Oh God, you should see. Yeah, it's and this is everywhere. We'll take a stroll by the Apple store. I want you to see that too. They're slowly trying to reclaim these places. This is the federal courthouse, which became a target too, and it's been barricaded like this since the summer. And they're trying, sort of in steps, to reclaim it. Um, they've taken out the concrete blocks and they've taken the boards off the windows. And of course, Antifa attacked. Like the next day, they tried to take this fence down again. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's your federal courthouse. I don't know if you can see this.
Yeah, yeah. That it did not look like that when I was there last. Now, is Antifa still rioting and lighting fires on a regular basis?
Yeah, but they don't have the big crowds of hangers on coming. So I estimate Antifa's numbers total, the hardcore Antifa, to be maybe 200 at most. Because now they have their little actions, and I think they're out last night. They're out almost every night. But, they only turn out, most of the time it's dozens of people. Maybe they turn out 100 for a bigger action. But yeah, they concentrate now on, for instance, this federal courthouse and the ICE facility down by the river. Yes, they're still active. It hasn't let up. And they're just going to keep the heat on, Biden in the White House or not.
And do we know the cause of all those fires in Oregon? What, 6 months ago?
No, there was talk about maybe it was Antifa, but nobody really knows. They think it probably wasn't. Antifa, of course, took advantage, right? They'll
Yeah.
always show up and do a little volunteer work, feed the homeless, or do something, you know, um, to try and act like, yeah, see, we're the good guys. So they showed up for the, fire relief and made a big stink out of doing this and that. But yeah, we don't know. the source of those fires still.
And what type of
I would
people
put
are
that-
homeless? Are they mainly white people? Are they Hispanic? Are they mainly black?
Mostly whites. Yeah, it's mostly washed up white folk. A high percentage, obviously, of it mentally ill. And I see lots of people who are just checking out of society, basically. There's a strong contingent of people who they just don't want to get jobs. They don't want to work for a living. They don't want to pay rent. They don't want any of the hassles. And they come here, and you can always find food, uh, and they won't. Since it all started, trying to restart that back up, homeless sweeps, because it's only gotten worse. But Antifa, of course, takes that as an issue and will show up to oppose them. In fact, they try to do. It was right. Well, um, this 7-Eleven is where, I don't know if you know about Adam Hayner, but he was a guy who was beaten into a coma by self-described Antifa security. It all started right here. The poor bastard tried to flee in his car down this street toward Broadway, and they caught up to him and beat him savagely. We thought he was going to die. Anyway, yeah, it's closed.
And there was a guy shot to death. Was that near where you are now? The guy who was shot to death by Antifa?
Yeah, that's a couple of blocks over from where I'm at right now. And that was just, the Proud Boy Patriot Prayer dudes showed up. Just they broke these guys. They were was walking around the streets later, and shot right in the chest by an Antifa guy, who of course later was killed by feds when they came to collect him. And Antifa cheered that very night. Sorry?
So Apple stands with Black Lives Matter. Did I read that correctly?
Oh, yeah. Let me show you. Well, see, here's another thing. They got to try and reclaim their store. It's been shut down since. They tried to break through the windows. This glass is amazing. They didn't actually get inside the store, which is like a showroom full of goodies, right? And so Apple, of course, like everybody else, boarded up the next day. And then the boards became murals, so all this ugly art for BLM. So they, after a few months, they realized they couldn't take down this art. So the art got causing more trouble. So they encased it, as you see here. And then they started removing the panels of all the ugly art, about like this, right? They started removing all the panels and donating them to these shitty little BLM groups. And that.
And
they just reopened.
The demographics of Portland is what, about 5% black?
Breaking up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was saying that the demographics of Portland is about 5% black, I assume.
It doesn't feel like that, though. It isn't anymore. And of course, they're seeding all the outer suburbs with all the new immigrants because they want to diversify it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like France. That's the model they had, like Paris, right?
Yeah.
Paris, nice, and they put all the new.
And what's the mood of people in Portland? Are they happy with the direction of their city?
Huh?
What is the mood of residents of Portland? Are they happy with the direction of their city?
Oh, yeah. Well, people are afraid. I think people are afraid to speak up. Um, Anybody certainly who goes public is likely to be targeted. Um, the mood is it's weird. You know, people are just assenting to it. Anybody who owns a small business who's been affected, and anybody who's not crazy, and there's still mostly normals here, hates it, wants it to stop, you know, and will tell you so. But they're absolutely marginalized. You know, there's no sort of conservative media. There's no Republican Party here. There's no avenue for dissent from this shit. So it's full speed ahead with, for instance, police defunding and all that other shit.
And why is it so much of it still boarded up? Because they're afraid that Antifa will come back?
Yeah, in fact, yeah, everybody's afraid to take the boards down. Well, and they still do. They still do their little actions, which is really about. Well, there's a Starbucks. Yeah, they'll. Their actions are really about breaking windows in private businesses. You know, just petty shit like that. Yeah, so everybody's afraid to take the boards off. In fact, I've seen more going up recently.
And how's the local economy?
Shit. Yeah, obviously, it's shit.
Yeah.
You know, downtown people are business is abandoning downtown. Obviously, everybody's fleeing for the suburbs if they can. But the real estate market remains hot. People are still pouring in to buy houses, at least around, you know, Portland.
And I believe that the current Portland mayor is the most mainstream of all the alternatives. Is that accurate?
Yes, there's no one to his right, obviously, and he's basically a, you know, sort of a bug man, uh, technocrat. At least he thinks so, right? What passes for a moderate. So he assents to all this stuff, and he's not the mayor. The system here, the mayor's not very strong. It's basically he's a council member with some privileges. Um, so yeah, all we got is Ted Mayer or worse, Sarah Iannarone, who's like a full-on Marxist, you know. And they hate him. They hate Wheeler, even though he's bowed to most everything. You know, it's not enough. They're trying to recall him now.
And real estate prices, home prices, they're staying steady or even going up. Is that accurate?
They're going up. It would be described as a hot market. Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm thinking, well, at least, you know, maybe this market will crater. People have suggested that a lot of the actions now on the part of Antifa are kind of are directed toward fucking up real estate values, you know, specifically. But you know, people are still pouring in, you know, because it's really bad down here. But you get out of here, it's still kind of nice, you know. Get out of downtown, the outer neighborhoods are still nice neighborhoods.
And what's your relationship like with Antifa?
They don't know I exist like everybody else. I can't get arrested. Yeah, I was down here. I've been down here. There's a bunch of footage on my YouTube channel. You know, I was covering it. Friendly guys. Might be normal or not down, you know, because they.
Yeah, we lost you there. So we lost you. Could you tell me again what you've been covering on your YouTube channel?
Oh no, I just have a bunch of footage up there of the riots, you know, everything that's going on.
And you didn't have any.
Yeah,
you didn't have any trouble.
I don't feel safe anymore covering this.
You don't feel safe covering it. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't now. I don't even go out now. Like at the ICE facility. Recently, I went out there and I was hiding filming, and I had a great spot. None of them were on the other side of the cops where I was at. But I guess they spotted me because I left, I got in my car and I came back around and I was going to resume my spot. And sure enough, they're all hanging around, they're lurking around. I think they even tagged my car, identified my car, because they're just, yeah. So I kind of got scared off, but they don't know who I am, at least, you know.
Are you familiar with Nancy Rommelman, whose husband,
Yeah.
you know that story?
I don't know that story. I know they don't like her. What happened with her?
Oh, she said something skeptical about some of the downsides of the Me Too movement on her YouTube show, and as a result, people got together and destroyed her husband's coffee business. Apparently, he was both a coffee wholesaler and he operated several coffee shops in Portland.
Oh, she's out of here. I forgot. Yeah. Well, that's what they'll do. Definitely. You, they don't want to hear it. Yeah.
And how brave is Andy Ngo that this guy has gone up against these people for years?
And I give that little fucker credit. Yeah, he's got huevos bigger than mine, man. Yeah. Have you looked at that book of his?
I have not, but I mean, I follow his Twitter feed. I mean, he's just continually reporting important things on Antifa.
Yeah, I was down here months ago when they were first starting to harass him. I remember it was not that much. They silly stringed him and kind of pushed him around. And then a couple of months after that, when things were in full bloom here, of course, they beat him up pretty badly. That incident that he talks about. Yeah.
And how have you been dealing with social media censorship? How's that affected you?
Oh yeah, I'm like everybody else. I'm hunkering down, I guess. I think they're about to
dealing with social.
They're about to take down my YouTube channel, I think, because all of a sudden I'm getting a warning and a copyright violation on stuff that I took private months ago. But yeah, I'm so low down, I'm so obscure out here, so low level that I still don't draw any fire.
And what have been some of the primary themes on your blog? Oh, you haven't updated your blog in about 8 months.
Oh no, I've got. Yeah, you can occasionally provide updates on shit that's going down here. Yeah.
But you haven't updated it in 8 months. Is that accurate?
Oh, there's something up there now. Yeah. No. I've been following City Hall, and so I tried every now and then to provide a post on an update on what's happening there. Because City Hall right now, the City Hall meetings just every time it's just more. They just go in there. Jesus Christ. Oh fuck. Sorry.
Sorry.
Literally stepping over human feces out here.
Oh, that's not the Portland I remember.
No, fucked it up.
And
he said, "Yeah, Dennis, what's the homeless about?" Sorry.
There's been a murder explosion. The murder rate's gone up dramatically in Portland.
It's doubled, yeah. For the year, and the murder rate is just an indicator of a lot more violence, because I think assaults and all kinds of shit aren't going reported. Obviously, the cops have retreated. Yeah. Of who to cause that kind of trouble. And those places are just a mess. Yeah, they're still downtown feels safe. It's just this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just this ugliness is shut down. But if I would never bring a family here, I'd never bring a woman with me here,
And do you have any theory on Antifa? Is there any kind of centralization, or is there any higher authority? Is there any hierarchy to Antifa?
I No, it's highly organized and highly decentralized, I believe. So it's like Al Qaeda, right? The idea,
Yeah,
what Al Qaeda was supposed to be. It's
yeah,
exactly that. And nobody needs to be directed from a central office because they just, they have their basic instructions in place, right? And all they do is and they're not censored on social media, of course. So they use Twitter and everything else to arrange these actions where they go out and break shit, do whatever. And that's all they need. All they need is Twitter. Twitter and all the social media companies could shut these guys down considerably, just if they gave them the same sort of treatment they give us. Um, yeah, it's highly organized, but not at all centralized, and that works great for them because they can keep up this nonsense about how it's not really an organized movement. But during the middle of summer when they got totally really organized, they were out here with walkie-talkies. They were out here coordinating roadblocks. You know, they're impressively organized.
yeah. How come they're able to organize so effectively while the distant right just continually splinters?
Well, I think the censorship is working. I think that's really what's happening. It's working very well. I mean, look at the energy on Twitter or on YouTube, right? Um, even those of us who still are out here commenting, it's like everybody's gone. Everybody's just they've tried to move off to other platforms, but that just managed to disperse them, uh, and we don't have what, like I said, what Antifa has is all they need is social media. All they need is to be able to send the word out via these major platforms.
And what's the news media like in Portland?
Yeah, yes, they're awful, generally awful. Some of the more mainstream, uh, like a network affiliate television stations, and the Oregonian paper, they're basically like old liberal newspapers, right? That they're not that bad in their bias. They try to raise concerns here and there, but they're heavily cowed too. And they offer tepid opposition toward it. Yeah. And the rest of the media, it's foursquare behind it. Hey, look, the Scientologists are back. They took their boards down. Should I go inside, Luke?
Uh, and what about the churches? Are the churches in support of Black Lives Matter, or any churches in
Of course.
Portland prominently opposed to BLM?
No, nobody will dare go in outright opposition. And all the churches in downtown, of course, are, they're mostly Protestant and they're mostly completely paused out. But it's interesting because Antifa's directed their attention to them. They've taken up the issue of homelessness now. And I saw on social media, some of them are trying to get started this idea that we should force the churches to take in the homeless. This is, of course, after the churches here all they do is feed homeless and fly pride flags and support all this shit. But even that's not enough. There's a Catholic church on the east side somewhere that had a little march. They call they called it an exorcism. Worried that they were going to get attacked, and they would have gotten attacked if Antifa had mobilized. If Antifa knew they were out there. So there was that.
And what
Probably
about
gonna lose my connection.
yeah? What about public
Sorry?
spaces? Like, what about public libraries? What are they like in Portland?
Oh, well, we got a great library downtown, but it's closed now. It's been closed since COVID. Um, And they used to be, that was already awful, of course. Like your big, nice big library downtown was already just rotten with homeless people in there. But now they're just shut down, of course.
When did Portland stop being a liberal utopia? 2015?
Yeah, yeah. With the ascent
Because
campaign.
once you had Donald Trump rising up, then you started having massive numbers of riots in Portland, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I've been here for that. Yeah, and Trump's effect was to radicalize everything. No, a very negative effect of Trump was that he crystallized these guys, right? He gave them a raison d'etre. Yeah, but about 2015, I mean, they were already causing trouble with his campaign, and then of course there was outright rioting for the inauguration, of course. That's when I got arrested and spent the night in jail with Antifa. Yeah, it's 2015, and it's really been 6 years. And in the same period, of course, all of our other social ills have gotten worse as a result, homelessness and everything else.
So what are your reflections now with a little bit of distance on the Trump train?
Oh, well, I still haven't decided, but I think ultimately what it appears is that it's backfired, in that it was this populist movement that, like I said, all it managed to do was radicalize the other side and bring the mainstream onto their side, because the mainstream couldn't even allow Trump, to breathe, right? So right now it's a massive self-own for anyone who supports populism or who supported those policies, We were going to go slowly this way, or we were going to have this blow up, and maybe still normal people would realize, and oppose this. Of course, I'm so cynical. I'm so pessimistic. I mean, now about it, having witnessed what Portland, for instance, all these good liberals in Portland, most people here are normal, just kind of liberals, what they will accept. They've accepted murder. They've accepted this. It's pretty scary.
And you're not seeing a backlash. You're not noticing a backlash to all the pause.
No. Yeah, that's what's fucked up. Like I said, there's no avenue for it. All people can do is kind of talk quietly amongst themselves, I guess. But most of them won't ever say anything about it. They're just waiting. They've been waiting for months for this to subside somehow, and it's not going away.
So have you read any good books lately?
Yeah, you cut out. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah, have you read any good books lately?
No, I just been going back to old stuff. I was reading George Fraser's The Golden Bough. That kind of relates to a lot of this shit. The book about early superstitious origins of religion. But yeah, no, I was thinking about getting that Andy No book. I hate buying books, but maybe I'll buy it. Maybe we can talk about it sometime on a live stream.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, let me think. What was I reading today? Oh, I was reading this book by a professor. He read a book in 2018 on the alt-right. So Thomas Maine.
Right.
So I started to give it a shot, and then I found it heavy going. So I went and read the Countercurrents review of the book and decided, maybe not so much. Then I tried reading a book on patriotism. Patriotism is a better alternative, is the middle ground between nationalism and cosmopolitanism. So I tried giving that a shot. yesterday. It was by some Yale professor. Let me see what else. I read a book on podcasting. I found that helpful.
Really?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called Making Noise. Make Noise: A Creator's Guide to Podcasting and Great Audio Storytelling.
Oh God, I should do that. I still want to try and do something. Yeah. Like I said, I can't get arrested, but yeah, I would really love to come on the show. Next time and sit down and talk. Yeah, sorry about all that. Whatever fuck happened. Before. I think I kind of sucked at the end there, but I don't know. So much has happened. I just want to talk to people. I want to reconnect with people. I spent the last year watching this shit and collapsing into myself at the same time.
Yeah.
And well, as part of COVID too. You relate. This thing came as the two punch. After the one, the COVID was the first punch, and then this fucking rioting was like the second punch. It's almost like I don't really believe in grand conspiracies, but it's almost like it was planned. To lock us down with COVID and then hit us with the summer of sorrows, this rioting shit.
And how much did it affect you, COVID? Like, how much did it disrupt your life?
Not at all. I mean, I still have a job. My job isn't affected. I work just as much as I ever did, and I haven't had to do anything myself. But what it's done is, like I said, you can't go out. You can't go to a bar. Not that I go out that often. Friends aren't getting together. Everybody's hunkered down. So, I'm already too much of a loner as it is. And this is just, like I said, it just left me. It has affected me psychologically. I don't understand entirely. But, it's done something to me. And I'm trying to make it a good thing. I'm trying to make a good, like Nietzschean, that which does not kill us thing. Yeah.
And how much attention have you paid to the dissident right and to what's going on in that sphere?
I not much. Yeah. I don't know what's happening out there with all the old people I used to follow. They seem to be pretty dispersed and demoralized too. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
For a couple of weeks again now. Yeah, I guess me, like, as part of all this, I'm entering this phase where I'm just desperate to break out and to reconnect, like I said.
Great. Okay, Dennis, it's good to catch up with you. So we'll do a stream when you're sitting down, or we'll do more of these walkabout streams as whatever works for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Luke.
Okay,
God bless you, man.
Take care. God bless. Good to reconnect there with Dennis Dale, my longtime Torah Talks partner. Starting in 2016, Dennis and I were doing weekly shows on the weekly Torah portion. We'd bring in Casey. We had a good run. We were doing shows together until about May of 2018. So it's almost 3 years since I've had Dennis on the show. So good to... I put links to Dennis Dale's current blog, to his YouTube channel, to his Twitter, and to his old blog. Put them all in the video description. Okay.